Welcome. We believe that listening is the most natural way to learn a foreign language. On this channel we will publish conversations between two people each time on a different topic so that you can improve your English without boring grammatical rules. In order for the brain to absorb the language as much as possible and to automatically think and speak in English, it is recommended to listen to each episode several times at a distance of days. If you find these podcasts useful, we would be grateful if you would subscribe to the channel and like. Enjoy.
All right, let's dive into ancient Egypt. We've got excerpts about the pyramids and the Sphinx. You know I love this stuff. Unpacking those mysteries, the symbolism, the grandeur. Just awesome, you know?
Oh, it's incredible, isn't it? This civilization so different from ours, but somehow their beliefs and aspirations still resonate with us today.
Totally. Like, take the pyramids. We know they're massive, right? The Great Pyramid of Giza, over 2 million stone blocks. It just blows my mind. How did they even do that back then with the tech they had?
It is astonishing, that precision. And it's not just stacking stones, you know. These were intricately designed to guide the pharaoh's soul on his journey through the afterlife.
Oh, yeah, I read about that. They aligned some passageways with specific stars, like Orion. Does that tie into their beliefs about the afterlife?
Exactly. They saw the stars as the realm of the gods, and by aligning the pyramids with certain constellations, they could ensure the pharaoh's successful ascent to the heavens. There's even a theory that the 3 main pyramids at Giza mirror the arrangement of Orion's belt.
Wow, that's giving me chills. It's like they built a physical map of their cosmology.
And that's just one layer of it. Think about the burial chambers, the hidden passages, the hieroglyphics all over the walls. Every single detail was symbolic, reflecting their beliefs about death, rebirth, and how the earthly and divine realms were all connected.
Makes you wonder, right? What other secrets are hidden in those walls? And speaking of secrets, we got to talk about that other monument that always gets people going, the Sphinx.
Ah, yes. The enigmatic guardian of Giza, that colossal lion with the human head, testament to their mastery of symbolism and their ability to create something truly awe-inspiring.
Largest monolithic sculpture in the world. Just the size alone is imposing. But I'm more intrigued by the mysteries. Who was it supposed to represent? When was it built? And what's the story behind that missing nose?
Well, one theory is that the face is Pharaoh Khafre. His pyramid's right behind it. But some scholars think the style of the headdress, the facial features, it points to an even earlier date, maybe before Khafre.
So it could be even older. Wild. And what about that nose? I've heard it all. Napoleon soldiers using it for target practice. A Sufi mystic defacing it.
Honestly, it was probably over centuries. Natural erosion mixed with human meddling. There's evidence of them trying to fix it way back when. But the Sphinx still carries those scars. It's like a reminder of its long, turbulent history.
And that history's tied to the pyramids, forming this powerful symbol of ancient Egypt's legacy. But it's not just the monuments themselves. It's the whole civilization that fascinates us. Their beliefs, art, their way of life. The source really hits on how intertwined their culture was with their religion.
That's what makes ancient Egypt so unique. Religion wasn't just a set of rules, it was in everything. Daily life, their biggest achievements.
Oh, I remember reading about Osiris, Isis, and Horus. Osiris is killed by Set, his brother, but Isis uses magic to bring him back, just long enough to have Horus, their son. Then Horus has to fight Set to avenge his dad and take the throne. It's like a drama with gods and goddesses.
And that myth wasn't just a story. It was a belief that shaped everything. Osiris dying and coming back, that symbolized life, death, rebirth, central to how they saw the afterlife. The pharaoh was like the living Horus, upholding order and justice.
So the pyramids, they weren't just tombs, they were symbols of this cosmic cycle. Wow, that adds a whole new layer.
Exactly. And the Egyptians believed if they did the right rituals, preserved the body through mummification. That ensured the person's journey through the underworld. And then, eventual rebirth.
Amazing how much symbolism and meaning they packed into everything. Even their writing, the hieroglyphics, it's like art in itself.
Absolutely. More than just writing, it was sacred. A gift from Thoth, the god. Each symbol had layers, meaning sounds, ideas, concepts.
Man, the Rosetta Stone, I was obsessed with that in school. It was like finding the key to unlock a whole civilization.
Deciphering hieroglyphs in the 19th century, that was huge for understanding ancient Egypt. We could finally read their inscriptions, get their stories, a real insight into what they thought and believed.
Like having a conversation across thousands of years. What are some of the most surprising things we've learned from those writings?
The level of detail they recorded about their daily lives is amazing. Farming, laws, medicine, even recipes. We have shopping lists, love poems, even accounts of their dreams. A real glimpse into a world we thought was lost forever.
It's incredible how these bits of papyrus, inscriptions on tombs, can transport us back to ancient Egypt, connect with people who lived thousands of years ago. Makes you wonder what they'd think of our world.
I'm sure they'd be just as fascinated by us. Maybe they'd see parallels, our tech, our art, our search for understanding the universe.
It makes you realize that even though we're separated by so much time, we share some basic human experiences, aspirations. It really highlights the power of these monuments and artifacts to bridge the gap between past and present. They're not just relics, they're portals.
Right. They remind us that these weren't just some mysterious people in the past. They were real, with hopes, dreams, fears, a rich culture that changed history forever.
I wonder what they'd think of all the theories we have about them today.
I think they might find some of it funny, some confusing, maybe even some insightful. After all, they were great observers of the natural world, human nature. They weren't afraid to ask big questions.
Speaking of big questions, our source material ends with that classic thought experiment. If you could ask the Sphinx one question, what would it be?
Oh, that's a hard one. So many mysteries I'd love to solve. But if I had to pick just one, I think
Come on, don't leave me hanging.
I'd ask the Sphinx to tell me the real story of its creation. Who wanted it built? What was it for? How do they even carve something that big from solid rock?
That's a great question. Gets to the core of what makes the Sphinx so fascinating. We can analyze the stone, study the structures around it, but hearing it from the source, that would be incredible.
Imagine the stories, the secrets, empires rising and falling, the desert changing.
Like talking to history itself.
That's the beauty of studying ancient Egypt. It's a constant journey of discovery, full of surprises and wonder. Even with everything we know, there's still so much out there, so many stories waiting to be told.
So to our listener out there, I hope this deep dive got you thinking about ancient Egypt. Maybe you'll explore a museum, read a book, maybe even plan a trip to see these amazing monuments.
Because learning about the past helps us understand ourselves and the world around us. Who knows, maybe you'll uncover the next big secret of ancient Egypt.
Yeah, it's like their religion wasn't just a thing, you know? It was woven into everything.
That's so true. It permeated every aspect of their lives, daily routines to their grandest architectural achievements.
Like even their myth of Osiris, Isis, and Horus. It's this whole story, right? Osiris is murdered by his brother, Stet, I think.
That's it, yeah.
But then Isis brings him back to life with magic, just long enough to have their son, Horus, and then Horus has to, fight to avenge his father, reclaim the throne, the whole thing. It's like a Shakespearean play, but with gods and goddesses.
And it wasn't just a story to them. It was this foundational belief, shaped their entire worldview. Osiris dying and coming back. It represented a cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Yeah. Which was, like, central to their understanding of the afterlife.
Oh, wow, I see. So the pharaoh was like the living Horus.
Exactly. Upholding order and justice in the world.
So the pyramids, they weren't just tombs, they were symbols of this whole cosmic cycle. Wow, that adds a whole other layer of meaning.
Precisely. And they believed that by following the proper rituals and preserving the body through mummification, they could ensure the deceased's successful journey through the underworld and their eventual rebirth.
It's just incredible how much symbolism and meaning they put into their culture, even their writing system, the hieroglyphics. It's like it's its own art form.
Oh, absolutely. Hieroglyphics were more than just a way to write things down. They were considered sacred, a gift from the god Thoth. And each symbol had these multiple layers of meaning, not just sounds, but ideas and concepts too.
Man, the Rosetta Stone. I remember being fascinated by that as a kid. It was like cracking a code.
Yeah, deciphering the hieroglyphs back in the 19th century. That was a huge turning point in understanding ancient Egypt. We could finally read their inscriptions, understand their stories, get a much clearer view of their thoughts and beliefs.
Like we could finally hear what they were saying. What would you say are some of the most surprising things we've learned from reading their writings?
Well, one thing that always gets me is how much detail they recorded about their daily lives, their farming practices, their legal systems, medical knowledge, even their favorite recipes.
No way.
Or their shopping lists, their love poems, even accounts of their dreams. It's incredible. It gives us such a personal look into their world.
It's like these fragments of papyrus, inscriptions on tombs. They can transport us back in time, help us connect with people who lived thousands of years ago. I wonder what they would think of our modern world.
I think they'd be just as fascinated by us as we are by them. They might even see some parallels. In our advancements in technology, how we express ourselves through art, and our desire to understand the universe and our place in it,
It really shows you that even though so much time has passed, we still share some basic human experiences
Hmm?
and aspirations. Yeah, it's amazing. They really weren't just a footnote in history.
Exactly. They were real people
Hmm.
with hopes and dreams and fears, just like us. And that culture, wow, it really left its mark on the world.
It really makes you wonder what they'd think of all the theories we have about them today.
I bet they'd find some of it hilarious, some of it totally baffling,
Mhm.
but who knows, maybe they'd even find some of it pretty insightful.
Right.
I mean, they were smart people. They paid attention to the world around them. They weren't afraid to ask the big questions,
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of big questions, our source material ends with this classic thought experiment. If you could ask the Sphinx just one question, what would it be?
Oh, man. That's a tough one. There are so many mysteries I'd love to get answers to. But if I had to pick just one,
Yeah.
I think I'd ask the Sphinx to tell me its own story. Who built it? What was it for? How did they manage to carve something that massive out of solid rock?
That's a good one. I mean, that really gets to the heart of what makes the Sphinx so mysterious, doesn't it? We can study the stone, the structures around it, but to hear it straight from the source, that would be amazing.
It would be. Imagine the stories it could tell. Secrets it held for centuries. Empires rising and falling.
Wow.
The desert changing around it.
It'd be like having a conversation with history itself.
And that's the magic of ancient Egypt, isn't it? It's a journey of discovery, full of surprises. Even with everything we've learned, there's still so much more out there. So many more stories waiting to be uncovered.
So, to everyone listening out there, we hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity about ancient Egypt. Maybe you'll feel inspired to learn more on your own. Explore a museum, pick up a book, or even plan a trip to see these incredible monuments in person.
Because the more we understand the past, the better we understand ourselves and the world around us. And hey, maybe you'll be the one to uncover the next big secret of ancient Egypt.